Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and today is Tuesday, I believe. Yeah, Tuesday, February the 25th. This will be our chart lesson for today. Um, Crazy day today. It looked like we were going to have another one of those great trends, and just nothing, it just petered out up here. But what it turned out to be, we've got a trading range here. We filled out the low side, we filled out the top side. And it's about a measured move, I would say. This was just kind of one of those days. It's just a little bit more difficult, and you can see it's pretty much a measured move out each side. Um, I mean, overnight nothing much happened. You can see right there, and the movement started around probably around 6 o'clock this morning, right in there, 7 o'clock. A lot of times, somewhere after 6:30, that's when kind of the movement picks up. It's worth trading. Um, If you were here, you probably would have considered, you might have thought about taking that trade long right there. I didn't mark it. It's not a very good setup. Aggressive trader might have taken it. Um, and he might have even, thought about this bounce off the EMA here. But again, it's not a very good setup. So I didn't mark any of that. I didn't like going short up here because we could have easily pulled back and gone higher. You need to wait on a second entry, and we didn't get that until we're all the way back down here to the bottom again. Um, it was kind of hard to determine where the trend line was on this move. Uh, I found it off the lows and moved it up, and that was the first trade that I was really comfortable taking. And even then, I didn't really like it, but it's really the first confirmation. I like this trade a lot better um, than I did this one. But either one of these, you really could have even considered uh, marking as green as well. So, I mean, I didn't even feel, I went back and forth to how to mark these, but if you found the trend channel, you just about had to mark these red. This one's a failed second entry long too, so that's the reason I really like that one. And even though we didn't break a little bit lower here, we turned down again right off that trend line. This was kind of the set, by this time you should have found the trend line off those two swings, especially if you moved it down and saw it match. But I found it here first and drug it up, so I was kind of anticipating maybe turning down here. I would have liked it better if this would have ticked below, let me move this, below this bar. And this is really overlapping, but you got that trap there. So if you recognize that, you probably thought about going short, and you should have been looking for a measured move. Um, I would call this leg one and then this leg two, and you can see we didn't quite get there, and then we had the nice rally. And that's generally what that means. If you don't make a measured move, you come up short, that's telling you something. It means the market's too strong. So, uh, but then you get another chance. This is basically a breakout pullback long. Notice how each of these highs is a little bit lower than the last one. That's a signal that we're probably going to break out and go lower. And if this high would have come up here and been equal to this one or went a little bit higher, then this would have been real suspect. Uh, but it stayed below the EMA. It turned right at the trend line. So I liked it. Uh, that turned out to be the better trade than the actual trap. I just don't think enough people got trapped on this bounce right here. Um, so it took it a little while. It needed that little extra tick higher and this probably did trap people because there's probably a lot of people that were looking at this as a trading range and went long. And you might have got trapped long there now that I look back at that. Um, but the reason I didn't like it was because if you saw this possible trend line, you had to be aware of it. And notice we finally got a little closeout, not much of one. Still, we closed outside of it, and we turned down, had two little legs down, then we reversed. I didn't like going long down there for sure. Um, I didn't like going short down here either. Notice that there's no real good set. This was a fairly decent bar, and it was right off the trend line. So maybe I should have made that one green. And if you took that one, it worked. Um, but, but by the time you got a second entry, all those bars had stacked up there. So if you didn't take that one, um, aggressive trader probably would have taken that one. That was it for down here. But I didn't really like even that one because we didn't get back to the EMA. we didn't come off the low side of the channel either, so it's like we're losing momentum here. Uh, Plus we closed slightly outside it right there. So hopefully that's clear. And now look at this. This is what a reversal pattern looks like. Look at this move. An aggressive person might have even thought about going long there with a little double bottom away from the EMA like that, because you're probably going to snap back. But I didn't mark it either. I just didn't, I mean, it just wasn't clear really if this was going to be a trading range, or, I mean, it didn't look like we were going to break higher, but of course we do here. And look how it goes straight through the EMA, pulls back, tests as it goes, and makes another high, pulls back and tests it again, and then look at that little bar right there. There's a little bit of overlap there, but that's a nice setup right there, getting back inside the lower end of the range here. You can kind of see that coming across there. And so I like that one. That's two tests. I actually saw somebody else's chart, and they actually had a failed second entry short there. So that could be really close. So I like that long right there. And then you're looking for a measured move up. And here's your first leg. You get the little correction. So you're looking for a move up, and that puts you right up here near the top. Notice how we only went to right there, and we didn't get back up to the highs. That's because most people recognize that measured move, and they were going to exit there and be safe. And look what happens. It sells off. But then you get the correction here. You get the fail. You can't go short right there now for sure. And now you've got this leg up. And so now you're looking for a measured leg up to here. And notice we went a little bit. We made that. Then we corrected, pulled up, trapped everybody, and then went lower. And only reason there's actually a failed, it's really not a failed second entry long, but this looks close enough that it would probably act like one, and you see that it did. You don't want to go long right there because you really never got the break higher anyway to trigger it, but there's no real rejection off the EMA. I thought it looked like it was going to reject there and give us another move up, but then suddenly you've got this little channel working down, and so now you're waiting on a setup. This was really tricky right in here. I actually went short right here. It broke higher first and then turned, so I had to stop waiting on that to go out that other side, thinking, hey, we'll run on down here and get a quick trap. It is a first entry, unfortunately, and you see it bounced. And I had my stop 2 ticks above that line right there, above this signal bar right there, and it went 1 tick higher and turned back down. So I thought, yeah, okay, I was right. I outsmarted them here. And then you get another signal bar here that looks pretty good, but notice how it doesn't break below this bar. It's just like an up down. Well, that's a tricky one. So I almost wanted to, if this would have broke lower and closed on this low, I probably would have added on there, and it might have gone lower, but instead it turns down. So if you got trapped in this, you should recognize now when it bounced right here, there wasn't anything you could do but exit right here. And because it's a failed, it's not really a failed second entry short at this point, but you still need to exit right here. It looks like a trading range. At the very least, you got to leave your stop up here. But when this turned up and pulled down and broke lower right here and turned back up, then now you got a failed second entry short. There's your new low, first entry, second entry. When it breaks higher here, just go long. So I actually exited this one right here and had a small loss, and then just reversed right here and made it back plus a little profit. So I'm hesitant to mention that because people will start reversing and then they'll just double reverse and get double trapped and things like that. But it was pretty obvious we were going to go a little higher here at that point. So it was, and notice this, they trapped people right here. Notice people were scared of going long above that bar. When they saw that one close, they went long right there thinking we were going to come back and make a high, retest the high. And you can't go long at these highs like that because this is what will happen to you. As tempting as that is, the trap was way down here, and all the smart traders were exiting right in here is what happened. They had to drive it a little bit higher to get that extra. A lot of them probably didn't go long till above that bar, and so it had to drive it a little higher to get that extra tick. And as soon as they got it, they all quit buying, and the bottom fell out of it. Then you're back in the range here. You get a nice reversal bar. Just go short right there and easy move down. And there was actually a failed second entry short here, but again, I think this time of day it was really risky. Let's see if it actually worked or not. Because it's a doji, it's not a very good setup even for a trap. There's not much room back to this high in the EMA. Everything's still below the EMA, 44.50, but you see it still worked. Those traps just don't fail very often. And but this time of day I would be real leery of that trap just because of all this is almost looks like this, and once you get in there you can get really confused. And this was confusing right here because we couldn't make a new high on the breakout of the bigger channel here, and then we couldn't make a retest of the low out of this correction here. We actually did end up making it, but look what they did. They drove it up and tricked everybody and ran their stops. Then it comes down and makes a new low, and so we may rally out here. There may actually be a bigger channel in here. I don't know. Draw this and you play it. Looks pretty good right there. So I'm guessing we may have a bigger channel across here or something. So you just have to wait and see how this plays out. You really just got to look at this like a range day and notice how we're swinging back and forth above and below. This is how they like to fool you. You get a day like yesterday that did this, and they started out making it like it's going to do that again, especially with this short trap down here, but that's why it exploded up out of here. But then suddenly the buying just dries up, and so that's how they trick you. They make you think it's going to be another similar day, and it doesn't go. But if you follow the rules, and you're going to be better off. And this one was really tricky because, man, that is an excellent signal bar, and then it is a first entry, and there's a lot of overlap, and you don't have much room to scalp out. So that's enough reason to stay out of that one. But when you get this one, it's really still a first entry, though, because notice you got the new low. You've also got a new high, so it's a first entry any way you look. And but I liked it. And again, if it would have broke lower, I think I would have liked it even more. But I got suckered in right there and had to exit. And so I just exited above that bar. And turned out okay, but sometimes that doesn't work out like that in your favor. So you got to play it both ways. So be careful about reversing and doing those kind of things. And we already talked about that trade. But see how this is just, again, there was a short trap there, and it worked, but just barely. So this time of day, I'd be real careful about entering that kind of stuff. So I wanted to show you one other thing. I'm going to pause it just a second and open it up, and then we'll call it. Okay, this is a chart that somebody sent me yesterday. Just so I could, just to show you, I've showed you how I've taken a few trades here and there the last couple of days. When I got through with my trading, I traded a little longer today, so didn't get a chance to do anything like that. But notice how this person bought here. Looks like they scalped out and then maybe exited some runners. I don't know what that arrow is. I guess they were looking at it. They bought up here. They recognized they made a mistake. They exited, looks like with one tick maybe. Then they bought again right here, got their scalp, exited their runners, pulled back, bought here, scalped out, exited their runners. So